Alrighty guys, and welcome back. I am Lorentzen, the FPV guy, and today I have a really nice box here from Range Video that is waiting to be unboxed. And I'm gonna tell you right now before we get started, this is all about goggles. So let's see what's in here, because video goggles is what is revolutionizing basically the RC hobby in general. And everything we're flying, from totally big things to totally small things, are all video driven. I have a little Proto X FPV here that has a built-in video camera and a transmitter. And here is the latest thing from Valkyra, which has a camera, flight camera right here, and a video transmitter right there. Everything provides a video feed, and we've been using different ways to see that. I should say a little more about that first. Let me put this up. Here is my original video goggles. Actually, they're not. These are my second or third pairs of video goggles. These are the My View. I thought they were really cool because they had a see-through screen on top and then the goggles down here. This goggles was really small. If you look right here, you can see how small that window is. So you were looking out and you basically just had like a postage stamp. And that is leading or segueing me into the next part here, because what really happened with these goggles, and if you have been watching any of the advertisements for these, you'll know that it says $800 goggle with enormous screens. It's like watching a 19-inch monitor, because you remember back then in 2005, 4, 5, 6, 19-inch monitors were as big. So I buy some of these and I put them on my head, and I'm like thinking, oh, that's like watching a 19-inch monitor across the freaking room. So the 19-inch monitor thing is bullshit. Nowadays, the more fancy new goggles says 18-inch TV. I'm like, really? That's like 18-inch TV from half a mile away, because I haven't seen very many goggles that gives me 80-inch TV. That's just BS. But this was the original ones, and we went through a whole bunch of different goggles. Like, notice all the cables on this. And before you can actually use it, then you need another little power pack, and then you need to connect it to your video source. So that's really not very convenient. Let me put these away. As we went forward, the next goggles became the FatSharks. These ones are much more interesting goggles. They were made for FPV use, and they had a battery that would fit right in the edge right here. They had a built-in receiver, and they were kind of like a ski mask. So when you use these things, you just basically put them on your head, and there you go. Don't I look great? Now you're ready to go. Very quickly, a lot of people though started to mount these things into actual ski masks, which made them much better. I can't see anything, so let me put my glasses back on. These are some old ones. The latest and greatest these days is this version, which is the HD version. It has a built-in video recorder, and you can see a little memory card right here. It has, again, the battery is sitting on the side, and up on top you can control all the settings. Down in the bottom here, it has an HDMI in plug that allows you to actually use it with HD. This is the micro HD in plug that I use with my Inspire Quad that outputs 720p. So with that quick segue, let's take a look at these things. And I think the best way to do this is let's just get rid of that and get into it. Before I start tearing this apart, I guess I should not tear it apart yet. Here you go. This is the front, and basically it is the world's biggest pair of goggles. This is the HeadPlay head-mounted display. So let's get into this. Okay. And now I'm going to tear this away. How on earth does these come out? Okay, and in here appears to be, okay, here is information about the setup, what kind of batteries to use. There's also how to set up the video in, which channels this includes, and how to protect the lens. So I think we're gonna put that up on my blog. So by all means, go check out my blog at fpvguide.com. In here is the main event. It comes in a nice little protective travel bag here. Is there anything else in there? Nope, nothing else in here. I'm gonna put the travel bag down. I think we're done looking at that. And let's put these down and just empty the box real quickly. So in the box is also a small white box and a larger white box. We're done with this box. And we get rid of that. Let's see what we have here. Take the small one first. Okay, alrighty. Here is a complete charger. That is nice. I like systems that is ready to fly. Nothing else required to get going with these. Gets rid of some of this plastic. So this is a US plug, and that just kind of goes down, clicks in place, and this is now set up. This has legs for Europe, Australia, everywhere else. So with this kit, you should be ready to fly regardless where you live. Let's put this out of the way, and let's do a quick look in here and see what we find. Alrighty, batteries. It says HeadPlay on it. Now, I can't help noticing that this battery is essentially exactly shaped like the original FatShark batteries that was made. If you notice that little rounding shape here, I can hold it a little closer to the detail camera. You can see that rounded shape on each end. That was made to put it into the headband. So let's take this out. Here is an antenna. And I had a conversation with Rain's video about the antenna, because I was of course immediately saying you really should be putting a circular polarizer on here. And they were telling me, which is true, the linear antennas here are really quite good if they're done right. It doesn't really matter, because I want to hurry up and say not having a circular polarized antenna is not an oversight, simply because so many of us use a right hand or a left hand circular polarizer. So it wouldn't be fair to ask them to put multiple different polarizers in here. So we have an antenna, and that's kind of cool. Notice this band here. I know somebody else was already noticing this, but this is a GoPro. So if you need to have a GoPro thing on the back, I think this is simply a straight off-the-shelf GoPro headband. Notice the little rubber thingies on the inside. What they have done is they plopped it in here through a slot, and then they put a little stick on the inside to keep this from coming back out. So if you're gonna adjust the length of this headband, you need to push it in and then adjust the length inside and then pull the plug back in. Let's finish emptying the cardboard case. In the case here is, okay, here's our power supply. And here is a additional cable that looks like video and power. So here is probably a video in and maybe out, and audio, maybe video in and audio in, and here is the power plug. Notice these power plugs are really quite cool. They are locking, and they are high-grade metal power plug. It's not, and I'm really happy about that, because a lot of these things has crappy power plugs. Let's put this down here. We're done with the plastic bag. Oh, and this is cool. Here is a fit kit. Take a look at this. So in here is, I'm just gonna pull it all out, let it all hang out. Done with the plastic bag. Fit kit we're gonna be using. And the other thing that is here is the 200, I believe this is the 200 millimeter lens, but there's an extra spare lens here. Okay, we're done with this box. So there's an extra spare lens, and if you look at these goggles, there's a lens sitting right about here. So that's where the lens is sitting on the inside, and that is what's focusing on the screen. So essentially, if I reach over here, this entire system is one of my little screens with a built-in receiver right here. Here's an antenna, here's an antenna, and you basically have the unit and you have a lens, and you're looking at it very close, closer than you normally would, and that between the lens and the unit gives you the effect. So let's put these away. You already know what the receiver looks like, and here is, it's a really cool thing, and it's huge. I mean, this is huge. So let's get it hooked up before we can play. We need to, this only fits in one way. So that looks like it's gonna go in like this. There we have it. And that comes through the headband like that. So this one goes here. And then we're gonna take the little battery, and there's a Velcro patch on the battery and on the strap. So this goes on the other end. Now to fire these up, we connect these two, and we got a red light going on here. And to really quickly test this, I'm gonna grab a video source. I'm just gonna turn this little Proto X FPV on, and I'm sure it already is making video. So, there is video. Let's take a look. It is enormous. Do you see how big this is, really? So, but it has the battery on the back that helps balancing this, and I am looking at it like this. Let me hold this up so you guys can see. And I should hurry up and say, one of the really cool things here, I do use glasses, and I can actually stick my head with the glasses completely in and see this very sharply. Strangely, with and without my glasses, I see this incredibly sharp. So I may choose to fly this with or without glasses. Let me turn this around so you guys can see and get a feeling how this looks. Can you see that right there? And so that's live video coming from the little copter here. You can kind of see how I'm moving the copter, and it's coming in here. Here's a nose shield that's going to keep your breathing from getting on this lens, and then there's a big thing here. And what I would guess is that if you have a really bright image on it, this may actually throw a reflection off your face. So I would probably put some black duvaltine, that is like black. Duvaltine is like a black velvet material. So I would put something like that here, and maybe even a little strip up on top here, just to reduce the amount of exposure to my fairly white skin, so it doesn't show up in reflections. But this is really cool. You can see the numbers in here, and you can see how enormously big this is. Look at that. This is really, I gotta tell you, when I'm looking at this, this feels a lot like sitting in a movie theater, maybe in the middle of a movie theater. I have a really great view here. So let's get this. Now, we were looking at the fit kit a minute ago. Here's the fit kit. There's some different parts. And what you're basically getting here is you're getting, there, let me move this so you guys can see. I apologize, I'm not always that good with a detail camera. You're getting the top fit kit right here, and then you're getting a set of pads for down on the side right here. Now, each of these, this is comes in two thicknesses, a thick and a skinny one. Let me see if I can find the skinny one. Here we go. That is the difference. Here's the skinny one, and this is the thick one. I'm sure I'm going to be using the thick one, but I may have to start with the skinny one to just feel my way through this. Now, let's get on with our tour of this thing. Jeez, I really like this. I gotta tell you, this is enormous. It is so big that it's hard for me to really like it because it's big. But having looked at the screen, it's big. And that's really the holy grail of FPV. I want to be able to see clearly out there. So looking at this thing, over on the side right here, up here you have the menu button. Pushing that, you're going to see the menu. Then you can go up and down in that menu, and you can adjust right and left to make adjustments. Over here you have your, all the way front, you have your source selector. That allows you, by talking through this, you can switch from video input to HDMI input. HDMI is over on the side here. Let me turn this so you can see. There you go. Right here is that little hole is for a plug, and I have, just so happens to have, a couple of little adapters, because this is a mini HDMI, and I figured out that the full-size HDMI cable from my Apple TV did not fit. There. Now, when I get home tonight, I'll be able to plug this in, and I can sit down and watch American Sniper in full surround screen here. So this thing you're probably gonna want, or you can buy some regular HDMI to mini HDMI cables. I should stop shaking it around. I'm sorry about that. And I keep looking up to the side, and I apologize for that. It's because I'm trying to keep these items to actually be in the detail camera. Now, looking at this battery here, this battery is 2S and 1000 milliamps. That basically, they say that gets you about an hour. The camera, the battery I usually use on my FatSharks is, I made a modified cable. It's just like these. I got a bunch of these at some points, and these are 11 volts or 3S and has 900 milliamps. So that should probably get us about 2 hours. And let's do a real quick test here. If I unplug this, and I can plug in perfectly my FatShark battery. Now, my FatShark battery obviously does not have a Velcro patch, so I'm gonna go back to using the stock original battery right here, and we're back in business. I'm gonna put these back to my FatShark. So the next thing here, let's talk goggles for a minute. Remember, I started out talking about my original goggles, and what I'm using today is these ones. The other very, very popular goggle on the market right now is the Dominator V2 SD. Standard definition. That one also has the DVR built in, and I'm using the HD with the DVRs built in. This is really these two are probably the industry standard goggles right now. So what I find really interesting, and there's another goggle here that is being sold in a lot of quantity. Over here, let me get my friend Brad in here. We made Brad, you can see here, the Android tester this morning. The FatShark Teleporters V3, the version 3 as it says right here, are really the FatShark budget goggles, and a lot of people are using these to get into this hobby. Now, these are being sold by Hobby King for about $200, and Horizon Hobby are selling them for about $250 for the same kit. And you can buy them other places too, but they're basically the bottom line budget entry-level object. So what we're going to do here is, I set up earlier today, I set up Brad, I drilled a hole in his head, and I stuffed the camera, and here's the recorder. So I'm going to put this on, and we're going to take a look at what we're going to get. We already know that we're getting video from these, and where this gets interesting, of course, is this pair of goggles is 250 bucks. For 250 bucks, you get a set of goggles with an enormous screen. It does not have a DVR, but neither does these. So the way I see it, this is getting interesting, and I would expect a lot of people would be interested in the HeadPlay, simply because I think it gives you more value for the money. But let's look at, we still have our little video going on here. It's actually getting warm. It's been transmitting for a while. So really quickly, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this battery. I'm going to put it on the budget goggle. I'm going to see if this starts up like we would like it to. We have video. So right now, this is the standard, the other product on the market. And if I hold it up here, you can kind of see some video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start recording over here. And I should probably stand for this. I apologize. There we go. There. Are you seeing that? Okay. So right there, that is how big, or rather, how incredibly small the picture is on the teleporters. My goodness, that is just like a little stamp. Like I was telling you, this is like watching a 19-inch monitor way down the hallway. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but it's small. So I'm gonna remove this, and that was the budget, the $200 to $250 FatSharks. Let's go to the $600 FatSharks. And there, we're ready. All right, Brad, here comes the $600 FatSharks. And there you go. They're definitely bigger. They're a lot bigger. You see, if you take a look at a little picture right here, you can see exactly how much bigger the image you see is. And it's also much clearer because this is a 800 by 600 pixel, where the other one is SD, and I believe that is simply 640 by 480. It may actually be a little less resolution, but I think it is regular SD. So here you have that. Now what I'm going to do is remove these and unplug this so it doesn't just sit. By the way, one thing to always keep in mind with FatSharks is you want to have them face down so you don't have any of these hot lights drawing little images. You kind of need a screensaver almost. So here comes the $250 colonormous screen. Are you guys ready? I am gonna push that. I have to tap this. Now I can see. And all right, Brad, this is gonna be a little uncomfortable, mostly because I can't see your nose. There we go. That is, it's not really good. Let's try. Does that go better? I actually think, now that I'm looking at this, what is really neat is a fit strip, and it would fit Brad really well. So Brad is thankfully being quite patient with us, and I think you can see what my point here. I'm using the same camera, the same lens, and for $250, which is the same cost as what you would pay for a budget lens or budget pair of FPV goggles, you are getting an enormous field of view right here. So this is what you're getting. And by the way, this field of view is 1280 by 800 pixels. So this screen is actually playing real HDMI HD video quality. So thank you very much, Brad. I appreciate your help with all of this. And I am gonna stop that recording. My next video, one of the videos I'm working on right now, is about comparing all of these goggles. Not just these, but also some of the more famous goggles like the Cinemizers. So we're gonna use Brad again and put other goggles on him and do a video just comparing goggles, not actually talking about the goggles, how they're built. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be bringing Brad back, and we'll do a matrix of all the different goggles so that we can really see them and get an idea of what they're like. All right, Brad, thank you for your help. We're gonna put you out here because you quite frankly look a little spooky with that eye of yours. I don't know if you should go through with that tattoo thing. And back to the cool thing. While I'm still having a little bit of a hard time getting over how big it is, I gotta tell you, I'm probably gonna be using it. So that's really, now let's go back to the comparison with the FatSharks for a minute. And where did the cheaper ones go? Here's the cheaper ones, the Hobby King Horizon Hobby ones. 250 bucks for these ones. And you saw how big that screen was. 250 bucks for this one with a colonormous screen. Now, I actually think this has the potential to disrupt this market, because I don't imagine that very many people would want teeny little stamp size screens when for the same amount of money they can get an enormous screen. And oh, I forget, the other thing that you really need to be careful with here. On my FatSharks, when I start getting and have a couple of minutes of battery left, they start beeping, they go dee dee dee. It's like a really low beep, and I always have to go, what on earth is that? And then I go, oh, my goggles are turning black, so I gotta land before I go blind and then crash. This one doesn't have that. So when you buy this one here, basically this gives you about an hour of flight time or an hour of video out of this battery. After that time, when it gets to 6 volts, the goggles turns black. They don't give you a warning. The simple solution is buy what's called a LiPo minder or LiPo alarm, and simply put it right on the plug here. You put it on, and I would just buy it, maybe zip tie it to the strap here so you can just plug this in when you fly. And that way, when it gets down to 3.5 volts each, that's a total of 7 volts for the two, it's going to start going deet, 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 more and more and more, and it's going to remind you. So that was that's really one of my big things, that you gotta make sure you get one of those. And I was talking to Frank from Carolina Drones, and he said he's going to simply throw a LiPo alarm in the kits when he's selling these. He's already having a bunch of pre-orders on these, the HeadPlays here. So you may want to consider checking with Frank about that at carolinadrones.com, because he is going to be putting LiPo alarms in the kit, so you have that, because you really don't want to be flying and all of a sudden have your goggles go black without knowing it's that time. So that's something I would definitely check on. Make sure you get those. You can find them also, of course, on eBay and in almost any hobby store in the US. I think this could turn into a very popular product. At $250, it's not cheap, but it's not expensive either. And the box goggles here, Google has been using the same design to make their Android, the cardboard goggles, and Zeiss has made goggles exactly for this, where you can slide an iPhone in. So this is a very well-known design. This has been around for a long time. People have been making box goggles, and lots of my friends flying FPV has been making these goggles and attaching them to a helmet and some big thing so they can like put everything on top of their head. So this is not a new design. It's something that's on the market, that's easy to find. I think the reason most people are not using these is because you used to have to build them yourself. And I think that's gonna be what's different here, is you don't have to build these yourself. They're ready to play. They're right here. All you have to do is charge the battery, and I'm sure this thing that haven't been charged yet probably wants to get charged really soon. So you have to charge the battery and stick them on your head and start flying. There's nothing more to it, and that's exactly how I like my FPV. I don't like building. I like flying and crashing, but I want it ready to fly. I don't want to have to build it up from scratch to get going. So I think that probably is going to appeal to a lot of users that's going to be wanting to play with these as they are ready to play. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon with the review of or comparison of multiple goggles. In the meantime, I'm gonna go and do some flying. I'm gonna grab the little quad here and this thing and go outside and see how it is to fly with a color-normous screen. These are color-normous. They really are very comfortable with the fit kit. I think I could get used to this. It needs more weight in the back here. Maybe a bigger battery. Ooh, I like this.